12.16 Anapekshashu chirdaksha udasino gatavyataha sarvarambha parityagi yo madbhaktasya me priyaha. My devotee who is not dependent on the ordinary course of activities, who is pure, expert, without cares, free from all pains, and not striving for some result, is very dear to me. Devotee who is not dependent on ordinary course of activities. Meaning normally people expect things to work in a particular way. If you do this, this will happen, etc., etc. He is not dependent on that. Uh, just depends on Krishna. He is pure, expert, expert in managing everything without cares. Don't care. He doesn't care for anything. He's free from all pains. There's pain, no pain, doesn't bother him. He engages in service of Krishna, and he's not striving for some result. Meaning, um, if there is some work, some service, he will do it, but he's not too attached to it. Sometimes, we take up some services, it might not work, we become too attached and then affected. But devotee knows that, okay, if it didn't happen, then that is Krishna's will. So he's really not striving for some specific outcome as such. Purport. Money may be offered to a devotee, but he should not struggle to acquire it. If automatically by the grace of Supreme money comes to him, he is not agitated. Naturally, a devotee takes a bath at least twice in a day and rises early in the morning for devotional service. Thus, he is naturally clean both inwardly and outwardly. A devotee is always expert because he fully knows the essence of all activities of life and is convinced of the authorized scriptures. Devotee never takes, so this daksha, this word daksha, expert. A devotee never takes part of a particular party. Therefore, he is carefree. He's carefree. Elsewhere also, without cares means he doesn't really bother about uh, what is happening around him, etc., etc. He's never pained because he's free from all designations. He knows that the body is a designation. So if there are some bodily pains, he's free. He's not affected by bodily pains because he knows that he's not the body. The pure devotee does not endeavor for anything which is against the principles of devotional service. For example, constructing a big building requires great energy, and devotee does not take to such business if it does not benefit him by advancing his devotional service. He may construct a temple for the Lord, and for that he may take all kinds of anxiety, but he does not construct a big house for his personal relations. Mm, So, one is, Prabhupada is saying that not striving for any result is not striving for anything material. That is one. Even spiritually, uh, doing anything and leaving the outcome to Krishna. Um, um, because he knows that Krishna is in control, and um, of course, if tries something and doesn't work, then once or twice he might try, think differently, do things differently. And if it is order of superiors, then he will obviously endeavor. Yeah, so it's a little bit complicated. There are different considerations, but he doesn't become attached to the result. Um, so, yeah, he puts his effort trying to please Krishna. And materially, he is not striving for any result at all. He's just not interested. So Krishna is saying such a devotee is very dear to me. So this again, like I said last time, 13, 14, 15, 16 till 20. We have to keep meditating on these qualities because some of these are like very elevated qualities. For example, ordinary course of activities. Amanina manadena. Maybe we might respect somebody, somebody doesn't respect. This is ordinary course of activity. Like if you respect somebody, somebody has to respect you back. But doesn't happen, he's not affected. And so like this, there's so many aspects to these qualities. We have to keep meditating and keep seeing in our lives which of these are applicable, etc. 12.17. यो न हृष्यति न द्वेष्टि न शोचति न काङ्क्षति शुभाशुभपरित्यागी भक्तिमान्यः स मे प्रियः. He neither rejoices nor grieves, neither laments nor desires. He renounces both auspicious and inauspicious. Such a devotee is very dear to me. Both auspicious and inauspicious because he is transcendentally situated. Pure devotee is neither happy nor distressed over material gain and loss, nor is he very much anxious to get a son or disciple, nor is he distressed by not getting them. If he loses anything which is very dear to him, he does not lament. Similarly, if he does not get what he desires, he is not distressed. He is transcendental in the face of all kinds of auspicious, inauspicious, and sinful activities. He is prepared to accept all kinds of risks for satisfaction of the Supreme Lord. Nothing is an impediment in the discharge of his devotional service. That is the key. Basically, all of this is just whether he rejoices, not rejoices, is one, but eventually it should not impact his devotional service. And of course, he will also not get affected even remotely by these things. He is in very perfect Krishna consciousness. So these things if we see, neither rejoicing nor grieving, lamenting, desiring, it's a very tall order. So we have to constantly keep practicing. 12.18-19. Samashatrau cha mitre cha tatamanapamanyo sitoshna sukha dukkeshu samasanga vivarditah tulya nindastu tirmauni santushto yena kenachit aniketastiramatiir bhaktiman me priyo naraha. One who is equal to friends and enemies, equipoised in honor and dishonor, heat and cold, happiness and distress, again, fame and infamy, is always free from contaminating association, always silent, very important, always silent and satisfied with anything, doesn't care for any residence, Prabhupada, Goswamis, is fixed in knowledge, engaged in devotional service. Such a person is very dear to me. Devotee is always free from all bad associations. Sometimes one is praised, sometimes one is defamed. That is the nature of human society. But a devotee is always transcendental to artificial fame and infamy. Artificial means because it's connected to the body. So it's always transcendental. He is not affected by this distress or happiness. He is very patient. Very patient. He does not speak of anything but the topics of Krishna. So he is silent. Silent does not mean that one should not speak. Silent means that one should not speak nonsense. One should speak only of essentials, and the most essential speech for the devotee is to speak for the sake of the Supreme Lord. A devotee is happy in all conditions. Sometimes he may get very palatable footsteps, sometimes not, but he is satisfied. Nor does he care for any residential facility. May sometimes live under a tree, may sometimes live in a very palatial building. He is attracted to neither. He is called fixed because he is fixed in his determination and knowledge, both, not just knowledge, determination also. We may find some repetition in the descriptions of the qualifications of a devotee, but this is just to emphasize the fact that a devotee must acquire all these qualifications. Without good qualifications, one cannot be a pure devotee. Harava bhaktasya kuto mahat gunaha. One who is not a devotee has no good qualifications. One who wants to be recognized as a devotee should develop the good qualifications. Recognize means not like to become famous or anything, just that, okay, if you assess whether he is a good devotee or whether he is a devotee or not, if he has to be assessed as a devotee, then he should have these good qualifications. Of course, he does not extraneously endeavor to acquire these qualifications, but engagement in Krishna consciousness and devotional service automatically helps him develop them. But there are so many qualities to be developed. So we can understand that how powerful bhakti is, and at the same time how much endeavor we should put in bhakti to be able to develop all these qualities, because it just looks so utopian, so ideal, so perfect. So perfect a person who will have all these qualities. Obviously, he will be very dear to Krishna. So it's not very easy. But at the same time, we don't have to separately endeavor to develop all these whatever so many qualities. All we have to do is we have to engage seriously in Krishna consciousness, and then over a period of time we develop these qualities. It's not that they develop overnight. And also, what is favorable scenario or environment for developing these qualities is we at least try to give up activities of Rajoguna and Tamoguna. If we can give up activities of Rajoguna and Tamoguna, willingly engaging in Rajasic and Tamasic activities and trying to remain in Sattva, then of course, I mean, because of past karma, etc., we might be forced to, be Rajasic and Tamasic, but at least we are not willingly engaging, and we might also try to avoid these situations. So the more we are situated in goodness, the more possibility for us to develop all these qualities. So, like I was talking to a senior devotee, he said, try to do more activities in mode of goodness. So it's important that we identify these activities in mode of goodness, activities in mode of passion, ignorance, and then avoid these activities in passion and ignorance, and cultivate as many activities in mode of goodness. That will all become very favorable for us to develop all these other qualities. 12.20. Yetu dharmamritamidam yatoktam paryupasate shaddadanamat parama bhaktastetiva me priyaha. Those who follow this imperishable path of devotional service and who completely engage themselves with faith, making me the supreme goal, are very, very dear to me. All those qualities are very dear to Krishna, but one who engages with complete faith in devotional service is very, very dear to me, who makes Krishna the supreme goal. In this chapter, from verse 2 through the end, the Supreme Lord explained the process of transcendental service for approaching Him. This is the different options that were given to us. Such processes are very dear to the Lord, and He accepts a person engaged in them. The question of who is better, one who is engaged in the path of impersonal Brahman or one who is engaged in the personal service of the Supreme Person of Godhead, was raised by Arjuna. And the Lord replied to him so explicitly that there is no doubt that devotional service to the personality of Godhead is the best of all process of spiritual realization. In other words, in this chapter, it is decided that through good association, one develops attachment for pure devotional service and thereby accepts a bona fide spiritual master, and from him begins to hear and chant and observe the regulative principles of devotional service with faith, attachment, and devotion, and thus becomes engaged in transcendental service of the Lord. Through good association. So this is the key. This path is recommended in this chapter. Therefore, there is no doubt that devotional service is the only absolute path for self-realization, for the attainment of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The impersonal conception of the Supreme Absolute Truth, as described in this chapter, is recommended only up to the time one surrenders himself for self-realization. In other words, as long as one does not have the chance to associate with a pure devotee, the impersonal conception may be beneficial. Prabhupada is saying may be beneficial because it's better than not being connected to the Supreme in some way. In the impersonal conception of the Absolute, one works without fruitive result, meditates, cultivates knowledge to understand spirit and matter. This is necessary. So these things that are done as part of the Nirakar process is fruitful, is beneficial. Work without fruitive result, meditate, cultivate knowledge, etc. This is necessary as long as one is not in the association of pure devotee. So, fortunately, if one develops directly a desire to engage in Krishna consciousness in pure devotional service, he does not need to undergo step-by-step improvements. They're saying if somebody doesn't get a chance to engage in pure devotional service, then he can engage in this impersonal conception, which involves all these different things like working without fruitive result, meditation, cultivating knowledge, etc., which are all conducive for bhakti in the sense that if he's not offensive, if he doesn't become a Mayavad. So impersonal conception, Nirakarvad is still okay, unless somebody becomes a Mayavad. If somebody becomes Mayavad, then he becomes offender at the lotus feet of Krishna, then bhakti is not possible. But if he remains just attached to impersonal conception, like Kumaras, but they were not offensive, they were not Mayavadis, so they became devotees because they got, uh, they were able to meet Supreme Lord himself. But otherwise, through association of pure devotee, one can, even if he is stuck in the impersonal, he can come to the personal devotional service of the Lord. Devotional service, as described in the middle 6 chapters of Bhagavad Gita, is more congenial. One need not bother about materials to keep body and soul together, because by the grace of the Lord, everything is carried out automatically. So why Prabhupada is saying this? One need not bother about materials to keep body and soul together, because all these qualities somehow, like they're all concerned with how we are, how we are trying to keep body and soul together, right? Like happiness, distress, not being without cares, free from pains. All these are connected to the body. So he's saying, okay, it's okay. You don't have to be so worried about keeping the body and soul together, because by the grace of the Lord, everything is carried out automatically. So which means that in spite of all situations, trying to engage in devotional service, ahitukya pratyata, that is most important. Because whatever prevents us from engaging in ahitukya pratyata is mostly body or mind. We don't have to bother too much about them, only as much as it is required. Because by the grace of the Lord, everything is carried out automatically. So the Lord will take care if we are endeavoring in this way. We have to have faith. That is why here it says, engaging with faith, making me the supreme goal. So these verses 13 to 19 literally are the qualities which we have to keep meditating, keep reading it again and again, again and again. It might inspire somebody, it might demotivate somebody, whatever it is, but important thing is that these qualities have to be developed. And whenever we face situations where we are not able to demonstrate these qualities, we should not, we should feel bad, we should pray for mercy, we should keep trying. More we endeavor in some sense to, that we want to develop these qualities quickly, Lord might be pleased and give us some special mercy. Okay, so with this we end the 12th chapter in the matter of devotional service. Any questions? I think we'll stop here for today. Next, we can continue with 13th chapter, heavy philosophy. 13th, 15th, heavy philosophy. So the rasa of Bhagavad Gita, in some sense, devotional service ends here. Then it's all gnana, heavy gnana. Okay, any thoughts, anybody? Nothing.
Oh, that one question. So, Rupal mentions that one should be expert also, right? It's one of the quality. So, what is how to understand expert? Because we are all limited in our capacity. Um,
No, this is for pure devotees. Pure devotees are experts. Whatever it is, whatever they need to manage, they'll manage in an expert way. Like we can see that in the life of Prabhupada. But these are not necessarily material things. Expert means not necessarily material things. Expert means anything with respect to devotional service, he will do it perfectly, because Dadami buddhi yogam tam. Krishna gives him the intelligence from within. So he'll be an expert. This is all very high, uh, platform, because these devotees are so dear to Krishna. So they will also get that mercy to demonstrate these qualities. We can see in the lives of our acharyas, they're all expert. Yeah, many of these actually require us to also introspect, read, hear about great devotees, see how they are expert in what ways. It requires a lot of contemplation. So these verses are not, they're not just simply for hearing. Actually, they have to be meditated upon. Because for whatever reason, Prabhupada has also not written very long purports. Though these things are, each and every aspect is so deep. He's not written extensive purport. So you'll have to read previous acharyas, then meditate, then think about them when we are reading Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita. So it's a lot of work to be done to clearly understand these verses.
Okay.
Okay, there's nothing else, then we'll conclude. Yeah, Natru.
So you said actually like these qualities actually we should not actually endeavor separately.
We
You know, do
don't have to
devotional
endeavor.
service. Yeah,
No, Prabhupada is saying we don't have to
separate,
endeavor, not that we should not endeavor.
separate.
We don't have to endeavor means if you do pure devotional service over a period of time, these qualities will automatically develop when we reach the pure devotional stage. But like I said, we should keep looking at ourselves, how we are what of these qualities we are able to demonstrate, what we are not able to, and then we should keep trying little by little. Because at least it will make us more Krishna conscious. But maybe the qualities themselves, see, for these qualities to develop, we have to get mercy of the Lord. That will happen only when we engage in, ahituki apratihata, continuous devotional service. But till then, we can keep reflecting. We can see how we are reacting to situations. What of these qualities we are able to imbibe. Otherwise, keep trying. We should try. Not that we simply just wait for lightning to strike one day. We are going to have all these qualities. No, not like that. But naturally, it will develop. It will develop.
So basically, like we have to introspect, reflect, and try to improve. Basically.
So okay, let me
That
explain
situation.
this way. Like, see, for example, there are so many qualities. At different stages, different qualities might develop. For example, out of so many qualities we read, maybe already we can see we demonstrating some quality naturally, which was not even existent when we came to bhakti. Which means that with how much ever sadhana we have done so far, we are able to develop that quality. Now, maybe there is another quality which is in the process to be developed. So then we might also try to practice that, in our life. And then slowly it will develop. So like that, we have to keep trying, but the trigger or the reason how we will develop is devotional service, not like so okay, we can also understand in one more way. In other yoga processes, all these are separate endeavors, because that process itself is not so complete and powerful. Like somebody says, okay, 7 habits of highly effective people. Okay, maybe let me try to read, let me try to understand, let me try to develop. Now that is without connection, without any bhakti involved. That is mundane endeavor, right? So we are not putting any mundane endeavor here. We are putting devotional endeavor which is centered around devotion, which means that we are already doing sadhana, we are doing all these other things that we should do. Alongside, we might put some incremental effort to develop some of these qualities. then they will develop faster because we are already engaged in bhakti, like that. But not that we just close our eyes and wait for these qualities to develop at one fine day. Is that okay? Is that clear?
Yes. Thank you.
This is my understanding. Okay. So if there's nothing else, then we'll conclude. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyo cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Samaveta Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Hare Krishna.
Jai.